In this Spiritual BS series, I cover the various concepts, notions, and ideas that I just can't stand in the spiritual community. And I'm open to being wrong. I'm open to interpretation. And the thing is, I often find these various concepts and I consider them misleading, because the more I find, that there's just layers beyond. And people find themselves at various layers, or you could call it levels, if you will, and they speak from this, and I do too. So don't take my word for anything. If anything, I urge you, above all else, to find out for yourself, to figure out through your own experience, to confirm by the very fact of your own knowingness whether something is true or not, and to not solely rely on, oh, this feels good, or my heart resonates with this. No, actually investigate. Be a spiritual scientist. Find out for real. Right? Otherwise it's no good. Otherwise you're just parroting other people's words. So in this video, I want to talk about the topic of life being a school, and that our soul somehow keeps coming on here onto this earth in order to learn. And this is wrong on so many levels. Firstly, if we simply take it that this life is all there is, which I'm not sure that anyone watching this video would really believe, but in that case, well, what's the point in anything then? And if we then consider the multitude of near-death experiences, life between life regression, hypnosis sessions, pre-birth memories that people have, and how these all overlay, how we have like thousands upon thousands of reports that all share the same themes. And what I've come to find through exploring these and just investigating really is that our human soul is tied to these archonic beings, that our DNA, our soul blueprint really has been influenced. The very field of our being on this level in particular, has been influenced, has been hijacked, has been infestated with this virus, this spiritual virus, this parasitic being, which it really is. And so when I read these accounts of people's reports of the afterlife or the pre-life realm that most people commonly go to or come from, I find descriptions of control, hierarchical structures. I find that there are beings, there are levels, there is evolution, there's all this which, although pervaded in this loving presence, this joyous light and whatnot, when you see past that, when you filter that out and just actually observe what is going on in this realm that I'm speaking to, as well as this realm, and that's the funny thing, because they're so similar. And why would the afterlife, which is proclaimed to be this heavenly realm by people who have who have remembrance of it, why would it be still consisting on control systems? Why would that be the basis of their operations? And why are these beings so insistent on having judgment placed upon how we led our lives? Because by exploring these, we find that our soul, as an individuated soul, didn't necessarily have much say or do in choosing or picking this life. Sure, it may have had like a range of options, but it's not like you have free, full access to every possible reality or dimension that you might have wanted to experience this time around. So the options have been pre-selected for you. And that means that although you have the appearance of will, it's still very limited to the options that you were given. And it's the same with this world that we live in here, this human structure, which is that we find that, yeah, there's freedom to the extent that it is permitted, right? And it's the same in the afterlife realm, the typical afterlife realm. And so this idea of karma, the karmic baggage, the fact that your soul has done things in the past and now you need to repent for it and repay the debt, so to speak, and that all falls apart when you realize that there are other beings in place who have literally dictated your future incarnation, dictated your current incarnation. So they have set up the various circumstances by which you are a product of. The very circumstances that led you to hurt other people, to do misdeeds, to harm yourself, to do wrong in the world, is on account of the decision of other beings that in this realm are above you. At least so it seems. And that just doesn't make any sense to me. Why would we submit to that system? Why would we simply surrender and accept that we are not victims, which it seems that we are when looking into it, that we on this level are simply victims of other beings abusing and manipulating us in this way? And I'll tell you exactly why. Because if these beings were so free and loving and didn't mind what you did, well, why would there be karmic consequences to your actions? Why would there be a life review to follow whereby your spirit guide watches over your shoulder, ready to explain to you how wrong you did in this particular scenario, how much you hurt someone else? Why would that be the case? If we were really here to learn, why would that be the case? And I see, sure, it makes sense from a certain level that, yeah, we can believe this system of climbing the ladder of spiritual evolution, and maybe one day you will be a spiritual guide, maybe you will get to dictate other beings' future incarnations and this sort of thing, if that's your deal. But when we then consider that both upon entry into this afterlife realm, the souls that go there are memory wiped. They quickly forget of this life. It is just like a dream. You wake up from a dream and immediately you forget about the dream you just had. You go through the life review, which is instant, and that's it. Then you move on. You're basically memory wiped of your whole knowing and recognition, your remembrance of this life that you just had. And you may take the hand, you have to hold the hand of a freaking spirit guide to go visit the Akashic records in this realm, because you're not permitted there on your own. And so let's say you go looking into your own book of all your past and future incarnations, whatever you will, and what you find is that, yeah, there's these written things, there's this scripture about your soul and its blueprint, its pathway. But can you trust that? Can you really trust that is intrinsic, that is authentic to you? And upon that also, we have to consider that when entering into this realm, I can ask you right now, you can answer me in the comments, how many of you watching this video right now remember clearly, tell me, all your past lives? I don't. I mean, I might have like snippets or flashbacks. I might have little bits and pieces that I can barely string together any sense of these, but they're no good. They don't teach me anything. I can't draw upon my past lives, and that may be a lack of insight upon my part. I'm completely open to that. But what I'm saying is that should be upfront. If we were here to learn, if this was a school, that should be upfront. You shouldn't have to, let's say you go through the entire school system here on Earth, right? And you go to the exams and you end up failing. Just like when you go to the life review and the verdict is, well, you didn't do well enough, you have to come back here. So you go to your exams, you fail, and now you have to redo not only the year that you just did, but the entire school, like 10, 15 years of schooling. You have to redo it all over, which, okay, fair enough. If I'm actually allowed to have the current level of wisdom and understanding that I've gained access to, that I've discovered in myself, that I've learned, the learning that I've attained, if I can bring that with me down to first grade, sure, come on, I'll do it. But the thing is, that's not the case. We take nothing with us, maybe tiny little snippets, and that's it. How fair, how just is that system? It's not. And another thing is, which is more in the non-dual realm of things, which is to consider that in this afterlife, it is proclaimed that you go see your loved ones. They're waiting for you. But let me tell you what, if your loved ones are waiting in the form that you recognize them as, they're not your loved ones. They're not the human, personal beings that you knew and loved. No, they're something else. And you can't trust what they are. You can't trust that they are who they proclaim to be. And because why would they take any form that is recognizable to you? They may have had 1,000 incarnations before being your parent or your brother, sister, right? What is their relation to you personally? None. So sure, there may be like part of your spirit group, your soul group, and you're incarnating together in various roles and this stuff. But people describe them clearly taking the form of how they remember them. How weird is that? And I don't trust that. I don't trust, because I know these beings that are in these handlers, these archonic forces, they can shapeshift into any form. They can generate any emotional range across the spectrum that they may wish for me to experience. They can blast me open with love. And it can feel great and authentic, and I can be all persuaded into following their wishes and wants just because I feel relief, loved, at peace. How cheap is that? How cheap is that? But to get back to the point, so from a more non-dual point of view, when we listen to these accounts, we find that there's still a subject. There's still the soul experiencing other soul beings, higher beings, whatever you will. There's still this realm, this realm to interact with. And what does that mean? What does that tell you? I don't need to give you the answer. You should already know for yourself. It's illusion. It's all illusion. And so the thing is, we can't necessarily know what is true, but we can discern what is not true. And it is very clear to me that all of this entire game, this realm, and even the realms beyond this realm are illusion. And so don't settle for anything. Don't sell yourself cheap. Don't think that you are a soul incarnating, impacted by the influences of some karmic past or whatever. It's ridiculous. It's none of yours. It is all on behalf of the circumstances of this narrow self that you believe yourself to be, or not, or don't believe yourself to be. That is the invitation. To question this, to be skeptical, to wonder, to really contemplate, like, how can I, what I truly am, be defined, be narrowed down to, be limited by this soul and whatever this soul has gone through? Because clearly the soul, whatever that is still living in delusion. The spirit guides, I hear people talking with angels, spirit guides, all this crap. Illusion, illusion, illusion. Don't believe none of it. I won't listen to any of it. And I question whether or not you do the same, because there is wisdom to finding, discovering, and standing in your own integrity, knowing your worth, that it is not based upon anything, that you don't need to prove yourself to anybody, that you don't. Imagine that you are brought into this life by abusive parents, and you grow up at school, you get bullied, later on you become the bully, you start harassing people, you're a terrible partner, and you're you're hurting other people in your life, and generally not being a very pleasant person for others around. And this all stemmed from a childhood trauma. But did you choose that trauma? Did you willingly pick it up? And if so, why do you need to repay some debt later on for having hurt so many people? Isn't it hurtful enough that you had to suffer, and that your entire circumstantial self, your belief in who you think you are, was so defined by these circumstances that you couldn't see past them, and you just reacted out of this conditioned childhood traumatized self? Isn't that forgivable? And even, who needs forgiven? Who needs forgiving? Right? And who is to forgive you? Other than you. Other than you. You are the one judging yourself more than anyone. And so, if you can simply learn to be as you are, to find acceptance, and to not let anybody else dictate or control or tell you what is right or wrong for you, or to dictate or control your future outcomes on behalf of what you've done, then there's great wisdom in that. There's a great wisdom in knowing that you're a free, sovereign being. So, I hope it is clear, looking out into the world, that there are certainly forces, entities, beings, something at play here. There is something pulling the strings, and whatever that is cannot be trusted. And if you think that these beings only have reign over this realm, well, there's so much more to discover. There are beings out there beyond all of our imaginations, I'm sure, that really don't have our best interests at heart, who are really only interested in the energy that they can produce by squeezing us, by making us suffer. That is all. Have a good day. Take care of yourself.